What's going on, everybody? It's your boy J Fresh Beats, and I'm doing something a little different today. It does still fall in the line of production, so I'm still in it. We talking about DJ equipment today.
You know, we gonna make it fresh.
So yes, we're talking about DJ equipment today, specifically the Numark NVii. The Numark NVii. Now, this is an intermediate controller. If you're ready to start mixing 4 channels or 2 channels, whatever you want to start doing, or if you want to just get into scratching, it's actually been endorsed by DJ Shorty. So this is an actually really good controller, but we're going to actually go through why it's still amazing in 2022 if you can find one, and also why I still use it right now. So we're going to get into this controller. If you look at this controller, it has its own onboard power. I don't have this hooked up to anything. It's actually doing its demo mode right now. So this controller right here, when I got it, it was $799. $799. Let's go section by section. So the first section, you have the first deck, and this first deck, the jog wheel are probably about 4 inches. 4 inches is not the 6 inches. So they're actually pretty small. If you're trying to scratch on it, you can scratch, but it's really small and it's hard to get the habit of doing so. They actually have different pads. You've got 8 pads right here, and then they go into a different section, so you can do up to 16. You can do Q loops, you can do auto, roll, loop, sampler, and slicer. It actually comes with the effects that you can use in Serato right here, and it also has a bleep button. So if you have a dirty song that you didn't have enough time to get the clean version, then you can actually hit this bleep button and it actually works out. You can change between 4 decks. It doesn't necessarily have to just be 2. You can do 4. It gives you different views, different ranges. That's the turntable section. Now, when we get to the mixer section, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. You can do up to 4. You got your first 2 faders for deck 1 and deck 2. Then you have deck 3 and deck 4. You can actually assign what side each one is on. So let's say if you wanted side 3 to be on B, and you wanted side 4 to be on A, you can actually assign that, and you just have to keep up with it when you look at it. These are your filter knobs and your EQ section, your gain section, and then you actually have the microphone or auxiliary gain. You can change the tone, which was actually pretty cool, and you can actually decide which one you want, whether it's auxiliary or microphone. You have a booth section, so if you want to put this in a club, you can, and then you actually have a master section, and then you can decide which part you want your effects to go on, whether it be A and B, and then you have solo sections for your headphones. Now you also have a crossfader to start on A, crossfader to start on B, you know, whatever you want to do. Your actual crossfader section, so if I want a soft fade or if I want a hard fade, I can actually do that from there. That's the benefit of this controller. I really like it. Now if we look on this side of the controller, the front side, you actually have your headphones, whether it's a 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch, and then you can decide over here. Whether you want it in mix gain, Q split, or gain. When we get to the back, you have the XLR section. So it's 2 balanced XLR left and right. Then you have your RCAs for the booth and master, so you can dual master. You have your RCA inputs, then you have a 1/4 inch line input, and then you have your wonderful standard 12C adapter right there. So that's all of the sections for the NVii. So let me talk about the pros and the cons that I've dealt with this controller. I've had this controller for about 2 to 3 years. I got it kind of late because I was actually at a gig and it started raining over my $250 SB1 controller, and that was around the time that the SB3 was coming out. And instead of me getting another SB section, I wanted to go a little bit higher up, so that's why I went ahead and bought the Numark NVii. The pros of this is the wonderful effects features. You have the touch effects, so if I press the touch all effect and then I just tap on this, it actually subtracts either the bass, the mid, or the treble, and so I can do filters on the fly without actually having to turn the knobs. We have the actual filter rolls, so if I press the filter button, as soon as I hit the filter, it'll actually do a roll on top of it. Pro number 2 is I really like the effects that are on here. It actually shows me if I can select the FX, FX2, FX3, and then I can turn the knobs as such, and then it'll actually show the display. Pro number 3 is the actual display screen. It's not too small. I rarely see myself looking at the laptop because of the display screen being so great and actually big enough. If this was a standalone, I'd be all right, but since it's not a standalone, I still have to work with what I got. Pro number 4 is the actual gain feature. It's actually a lot louder than the USB power that I had. The gain feature for the XLRs are amazing, and the fact that it has XLR instead of RCA for the main output is amazing. So I'm actually going to get into some cons. So the cons about this controller that I have is these faders. They're actually really flimsy. Even my crossfader fader, sometimes it won't actually do the crossfade the way I want it to, because I think it's either bent or something like that. But that's one of the cons I had. Another con I had was the graphics actually erased, so I had to do an update to the exact same software it was already on in order to get it back, and that was a different hassle. I might do a video on that if anybody's experiencing problems with that. You do not have to be alone. I understand your pain.
Ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine, and you're not really fine. You just can't get into it because they would never.
So that's all the issues I've ever had with this controller. It's not really that much. This is actually a really good controller. For those of you who are trying to get out of the beginner stage and actually start moving towards something more intermediate, this would actually be the controller for you. Right now it is wedding season, so that's really why I'm talking about this. I know there's a lot of DJs that are trying to either get into the game or trying to level up in their career, and this would definitely be the way to go. I'm actually going to do some tutorials on either mixing or getting into that level with DJing, because I think that's an excellent career as a producer to at least get some money in your pocket whenever you're trying to do things production wise. And you can actually integrate your mixes inside of your DJ gigs. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, also subscribe. Let me know what you thought about this video right here. I know it's a little different. I've never really talked about DJ equipment before, but this was a review that I've been dying to do for a while, and I think this is perfect for those DJs that are actually trying to get into the field. It's your boy J Fresh Beats. You know we gonna make it fresh, and we out of here.